Hi everybody, my name is Henri Dewaerheijd. I'm the country manager for MasterCard in Belgium and Luxembourg. I'm absolutely delighted to be with you here virtually at the ITS Congress. Today I want to talk about how technology is changing transit. So obviously technology is changing our lives and we see it every day. And with COVID, things have really taken a different speed with everything accelerating. That's the same in transit. If you click a number of years ahead, there's a number of things that you could expect. Going from autonomous cars or Hyperloop, if Elon Musk gets his way, electrification, which is already there, thinking about all the buses that ride electric already today. And then there's the digitization of the infrastructure, linked to IoT and the possibility of getting many more data points, making mass transit more efficient. But today I want to really take it to the consumer angle and talk about the digitization of the user experience that is linked to a number of things that we at MasterCard are enabling, such as the globalization of digital standards for payments, as well as the integration beyond transit. If you think about it, mass transit systems have essentially been built for the locals. The idea was to get many people from point A to point B. And in many cities to do that, you really had to have a special transit card, like a ticket that allows you to not only pay, but also enter the system. And if you're a foreigner, or if you are somebody who's not a regular user, that can be an issue and can be quite difficult. So here comes a number of things where MasterCard is really helping. With the standardization of technology, using MasterCard technology such as contactless, we are really providing a solution. Many people now have a contactless payment card in their wallet, but potentially also on their watch or on a wearable. And that can be used to pay and buy many things along the day, so why not using it to pay your transit? On top of that, transit authorities have been thinking about making things very simple with tariffs that are standardized and that are predictable. And therefore, if you combine the two, the contactless payment functionality that everybody has and simple ticketing, the entire experience becomes very simple and straightforward. Roll back a number of years to London in 2014, which has been really a precursor in this evolution. You have to understand that in London, 30 million journeys happen across the day. And you might know it or not, but about half of those are from visitors or infrequent users. They in the time had to rely on the Oyster card. And with the inauguration of contactless payments in TfL Transport for London, there's a number of things that were really important. And they were based on three promises. The first one is that there was no need to buy or upload a new transit system, such as the Oyster card. The second promise was there's no need to register. You just use your card or your phone and you get through. And finally, and very importantly, the best fare is always guaranteed. So with that, what have been the results? And the results have been absolutely spectacular. Around mid-2019, we were talking about 2.8 billion journeys since the launch that have happened with contactless technology, which is absolutely massive. You know, now that we're already, in 2020, we're probably way closer to 3 billion journeys. Another statistic that I find really impressive is that 3 in every 5 pay-as-you-go journeys is now contactless, really showing that it's been taken on very strongly with consumers and it's been adopted en masse. But London was essentially the precursor. And many cities have now partnered with MasterCard to make their transit system more efficient and accessible. From Mexico City to Bogota, to Dubai, Colin, Bangkok, Singapore, or Sydney. Very recently, one of the major cities in the world has embraced contactless technology. New York City's MTA, where yearly 2.6 billion journeys happen, is one of those. And MasterCard has helped the city develop contactless technology across its metro network. And as soon as February of 2020, this year, they already surpassed 10 million taps on a day, year to date, of which have been spread around 130 different countries. which is really showing that anyone who gets into the metro system has access. But Europe is really leading the way. And close to home, many different cities have embraced this technology, such as Milan, Rome, Madrid. And if we go even closer to home, Belgium is also there. So we see, evolutions where not only the LAN, but also the STIP MIVB has enabled contactless technology since the middle of this year. And I would like to roll a little video from the LAN that shows you how this is done. So you can see that the experience is extremely simple. In a very short video, you explain how it is done. Today in Belgium, 80% of cardholders have a contactless card in their wallet, their phone, or on their wearable. So it's really something that is accessible to pretty much everybody, and pretty soon we'll get at 100%. But what are the advantages of contactless payment in mass transit? Well, first and foremost, it's cost efficient. If you do the link to Transport for London TfL, they've actually calculated that they save £100 million thanks to the introduction of contactless payments, simply because they've been outsourcing the entire ticketing system and the maintenance of it to something that is already out there and that exists. It's also ecological because you don't have to create new passes or new tickets that can be read at the entry of the transit system, and that really is good for the environment. It allows also for better data management because you get a data entry point at the entry, but also at the exit, which is not always the case, and that allows you to better understand who's taking your transport system and in which legs it's using it. If you go a little bit further with account-based ticketing, you can really look at optimizing the pricing and making it accessible for everybody. It's obviously fast, it's easy, and it's excellent for tourism because it's accessible to everybody using global payment standards such as contactless by MasterCard. So what is our expectation? Our expectation is clearly that this becomes a global standard. If you think about the cities that are embracing it, Brussels, New York, Milan, Rome, you can clearly see that this is moving ahead. And we believe that this is going to be the standard for any major hub in the world. In Belgium, you see that the footprint is already huge, with Flanders being covered and Brussels. So you can clearly see that pretty soon the expectation would be that in the entire country you can actually pay with your contactless card. Going a little bit further to what we're seeing as well with regard to digitization beyond the mass transit system, you can clearly see that more and more that you have those trip planning apps coming up who offer you multimodal journeys. So you really start from the transit system, but you can also expand it to taxi, to ride hails, to car sharing or bike sharing. And this is clearly something that we expect a lot from, and that we as a MasterCard are very interested in. Our expectation there is also that these smart mobility apps will place people more into the reliance of a mixed mode, whereby part of their journey is going to be in public transport and part of it is going to be in private transport. And that alliance is going to be important for the future. All of this allows you to do many innovations when it comes to mass transit. So first one that we're very interested in is that contactless is essentially becoming the new digital payment standard. And if somebody is using his contactless card in mass transit in the morning to actually go to work, he's going to use his contactless card more and more instead of cash. And this is really getting very close to our mission, which is essentially to displace cash wherever it's still present. From a mass transit authority, leveraging the data is also very interesting. Not only the data of the mass transit system, but the data that we can procure additionally. For example, it's extremely interesting to understand a person who's using his contactless card in mass transit, where has he used it before and where has he used it after the trip? Because that allows you to see whether there's a confluence of spend. For example, a person who's taking the metro, is he also buying a coffee at his exit? And that is very important information for mass transit authorities. And finally, personalized incentive for smart cities. You can really imagine that if you combine this ticketing system to an account-based ticketing system that is linked to you as a person, imagine that you can actually move into true yield management where pricing is adapted based on where you want to steer your capacity. That becomes extremely interesting. So many more interesting things that can be done now that the infrastructure is there. MasterCard is very proud to be part of this development globally, but especially here in Belgium. And I want finally to thank you for your attention with regards to this very important topic for us. Thank you.